This is a $150 gaming PC, and with a little bit of elbow grease, it can play every Sonic game.
But before I get into benchmarks, let's go over specs. And if you're not subscribed, click the button below to stay in touch. This is an HP EliteDesk 705 G4. It has an AMD Ryzen 5 2400 Pro G at 3.6 GHz, 24 GB of DDR4, and no hard drive. To fix that, I added a 500 GB SSD I got off eBay for 25 bucks. So now that it has storage and Windows, where do we go from here? The processor in here is still capable even here in 2025.
So I could have gone as high as a low-profile RTX 3050.
And while I didn't have a particular price goal in mind, I did want to keep this computer as cheap as I could within reason. So I went with the cheapest yet most powerful low-profile AMD GPU. According to Tech PowerUp, it's about on par with an RX 460 from 2016. There are other cards like the GTX 1050 or even a 1650, but low-profile variants of those GPUs are incredibly expensive for what they are. This is the AMD Radeon WX 4100. As we'll see in a bit, this machine can play a wide range of titles quite well. But on to Sonic stuff first, I tried out Sonic Frontiers. At full 1080p with low settings, the poor GPU was struggling to hit 30 FPS. Lowering the resolution scale to 75% would smooth things out a tad, though we were still far from a perfect 60. Cyberspace levels ran much better than the open zone portions, and Sonic X Shadow Generations was much of the same. Levels could jump all the way up to 120 FPS if I had the resolution scale set to 50% of 1080p, while the hub world portions were much harder pressed to reach 120. But if you really wanted to try your hand at making or playing mods and didn't have a lot of cash for a PC, this could be a great option. So now that we know how some Sonic games run, how about some other Sega games? Persona 4 Golden and Persona 3 Portable obviously run great. These games can go as low as a Core 2 Duo, so we're definitely in the clear on this one. Persona 5 Royal is somewhat questionable. Playing out a later story arc, I was hitting above 60 FPS the whole time, but the title screen made it seem like the game was going to run terribly. For the sake of consistency, I put the res scale at 75% of 1080p. Persona 5 Strikers ran a bit better. At 1080p low, we were hovering around 60 until you get into a fight, then it almost immediately dips. I would still consider this playable though, as it seemingly always stays above 30 FPS. On to some non-Sega stuff, I tested out both Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil 4 Remake. RE3 was basically perfect. At the prioritized performance preset with FSR 1 set to ultra quality, I was hovering around 70-ish FPS, though it could dip. But in my testing, I never saw it dip below 60. To be fair, this game is quite old, but it goes to show how well optimized these older RE engine titles are. RE4 Remake needed a bit more upscaling to run well. I had to set FSR 2 all the way down to performance to hit anywhere near 60 FPS, and more often than not, it was in the 50s. This is also with the prioritized performance graphics preset. This game allows for a 30 FPS cap, of course, so if you'd rather have the consistent frame times, you can do that. I was gonna say that Cyberpunk 2077 ran, but ran is a bit of a generous term here. At 1080p low with FSR 3 set to performance, the 4100 was hard pressed to squeeze out 30 FPS. Anytime you were moving at speed, the game would instantly slow down to around 20-ish frames per second, sometimes even lower. And while that level of performance might be tolerable for an Xbox One, I certainly don't have the patience for that. For this game, I'd rather invest in a GeForce Now subscription. Spider-Man Miles Morales is a similar story, though the frame rate was a bit higher across the board. When swinging through New York, no matter where you were, the frame rate was between 30 and 40 FPS. And while that might sound playable, the frame delivery was terrible. Constant stuttering made the game just feel awful to play. A frame rate cap might help, but in this instance, I think the GPU is just not cut out for this game. Last up is Fortnite, and it ran okay, though a bit worse than I was expecting, at least at the jump. At 1080p Pro settings, I was hitting around 50 FPS, which seemed really bad for such a low-end game. But then I realized I was running in DX12 mode. With the new performance mode, the game runs around 60 to 90 FPS. Since I was running the game at a full 1080p, you definitely have some leeway with the resolution scale for a better frame rate, or you can always cap the frame rate to 60 for a smoother experience. But regardless, Fortnite runs pretty well with the right settings. But this is the moment we were all waiting for: Sonic Racing Crossworlds. How does it run? Did I run into any problems playing an Unreal 5 game on a workstation GPU? I don't know. Let's find out. Okay, so The Sonic Racing Crossworlds beta is finally open. I wanted to try it out on my $150 gaming PC. The specs I've already talked about in this video, I'm not going to reiterate it. They're quite low end though. So we'll see how this goes. I was running this a little bit earlier and it was running very, very strangely. So I'm going to have to mess with the settings because it wanted to default to like some crazy settings that did not make sense. It defaulted to 1080p, that's just fine, that's my output res. 30 FPS, model quality on low, shadow quality low, anti-aliasing was actually on FXAA and it looked terrible. I turned that off immediately. Reflections were low, AO was low, and rendering scale was at 50% with no blur. So what I want to try is running it at 60. Now the game's in slow motion. So I have to run it in 30 to actually get any sort of usable all right, there we go. Okay, and now it's running just fine. This beta has had issues with full screen ever since I tried it a couple of hours ago. Like, if you noticed earlier, it was looking really, really sharp, but now it's looking a lot softer. I think in full screen, the resolution scaling is broken, at least on this GPU. It could just be this card, because this card is a workstation graphics card. It's not supposed to play games. So it could just be that. So it actually seems like it's running pretty alright though. And the thing is, unfortunately, this game is only at 60 FPS. It cannot go above it. So, I mean, it seems like it's running pretty alright.
This isn't like the previous Grand Prix, you know. We're on equal footing now.
It doesn't matter how long you've been racing. You were never in my league.
Well, damn. You said you ain't shit, Tails. And I'm not going to do a whole Grand Prix, probably. I'll just do a race or two. It seems pretty stable. Hey, Eggman, can you not throw that at me? Thanks. But yeah, no. I'm not even getting any sort of frame drops. It feels really smooth, like really, really smooth. There's no sort of stuttering or anything. It's running great. Now, granted, it's at 50% resolution scale, so you would hope so. I'll mess with some more settings here in a second. And I'll also do some online testing to see if online performance is any different. It might be slow. Oh, okay. Little stutter there. Like, not stutter, but like it was having trouble going to the Crossworld. That was interesting. I'll play a little bit online to see if online performance is any different. If it is, it won't be very drastic. Unfortunately, I wish there were some more settings options, because really the only thing that I can mess with once I've lowered everything... Oh, I have this assisted steering on. Oh, God, turn that off. Thank you. But like I said, unfortunately, there's not really any options for me to mess with besides the resolution, because once you turn off or turn everything to low, you don't have any other options. That's the nice thing with a bigger budget PC port, is they have a lot of options. This has jack. Had a little stutter there, but it was very, very brief. It just happened again. But it was still really brief, and it didn't drastically affect my gameplay. I mean, this is running fine. And I don't think it's like any sort of shader compilation, because this is a very basic game graphically compared to any other Unity 5 game. So, I mean, yeah, this, all things considered, is very playable. If you want to get on PC just for mods or whatever, this would be great. Wow.
I'm the best.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. Let's go online, try that out, and see how that runs. Nope, I wanted to hit yes. Thank you. Please click Sand Road. Please! God bless America. And I will say, at 50% res scale, it looks okay, but using a TAA to upscale this, it's very, very chunky. Yeah, it's very heavy on like artifacts when it comes to trails and stuff. Especially around items, if you're throwing an item, or just around other characters if they're pretty small. It's not the prettiest at 540p, although I feel like on a Steam Deck, or maybe like even a laptop, it would be much, much less noticeable. Ha! Get dunked on. No! At least I didn't fall off. That would have been good. That wouldn't have been good. I can't speak. It's almost 2 in the morning. Recording a video. I have work. I'm still recording a video, so I don't have anything ready for August, so I'm doing this instead. Oh my god. No! God bless America, no place else. Well, I'm in 6th place. I'm in 8th place. Amy, I hope you drive into a tree. But, I mean, from what I could observe, the performance was fine. There were little stutters here and there, and I don't really think they were necessarily due to any sort of shader caching. Because if it were, the game would probably say that it needs to do shader caching. It would do it beforehand. That's what most UE5 games do. So I highly doubt it's that. I mean, it seems like it's running quite well, all things considered. I'll have to dip out of this match and go to settings to try out some higher resolutions. And then for everything else is going to stay the same. And as far as the difference between TAA and TSR, TAA, you saw that earlier, so I'll just show you TSR real quick. This is still at 50%. It's better, but like, not really. I don't really know if there's a performance impact, at least in this game. I don't think it really matters. Either way, it's not going to look good unless you're at the native resolution of your panel. So, I mean, honestly, just choose whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Let's try out 75%. See how that goes. It's not going well. Okay. Yeah, immediately dips to 51. And so if I go into a match, I'm pretty sure it's not gonna hit 60 like at all, which would be really unfortunate because I mean this game, sure it's Unreal Engine 5, but it's like it's not really all that when it comes to its graphical fidelity. In fact, I think it's in certain areas quite poor. Yeah, it's running in slow-mo. I was honestly expecting it to do a little bit better. I was expecting it would have maybe dip a little bit under, but like, this is not very good. Also, why did I get tails again? See, it's funny though, it's slowing down, but it looks so much better. It's like night and day. Yeah, so in the pause menu in offline racing, there's no settings menu. That doesn't make sense to me. This is a PC port. We're on the PC. We need to have settings at all times. Yeah, I mean, all in all, the game performs pretty all right for $150. You could certainly do worse. Like, I don't know what the performance will be on Xbox One or PlayStation 4 or PS4 Pro or One X or whatever, but I cannot imagine it's going to be much, if any, better than this. Because with every other Sonic game on last gen, it's been 30 FPS, minus Forces, which is Forces, so it doesn't matter. So like Sonic Frontiers and Sonic X Shadow gens are 30 FPS on every last gen machine. It does not matter what it is. So this game, it's Unreal Engine 5, and Unreal Engine 5 does run at 60 FPS in games like Fortnite on PS4 and PS4 Pro. So this game will probably run at 60 FPS, but I mean, with Sonic Team, who knows? They might just slap it in at 30, not do any optimization, and just call it a day, and I wouldn't even blame them, honestly. So, I mean, for $150, if this thing can beat even a base PlayStation 4, I'm gonna say that's a win. So, what do you think? Was the performance good enough across the board, or would you invest in better parts? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. With a budget of $150, you really have to be creative, so I'd love to hear how you do it. If you'd like to support me, I have a Patreon linked in the description below, as well as YouTube memberships. But that about does it for me. I'll see you all very, very soon. Peace.